got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup,
George Morgan here and Jack Bennett. All the lights are currently lit here on track, and it is go, go, go!
Contact through the Mercedes teammate.
Denoso with a crafty manoeuvre up the inside. Masterclass from the Chilean.
Crucial championship points on offer here.
Do not count out Danny Beresne.
Longe has done the job. This is for the win between these two.
Freddie Rasmussen wins the United States Grand Prix.
Alfie Butcher wins for the first time ever. Lucas Blakely takes the championship. It's Barry Borman.
Jarno Opmeer is your champion.
Good evening everyone and welcome back to PSGL F2, and as you can see I'm back in the comms booth. Wasn't expecting it, but it is nice to be back here and showcase what are some of the fastest drivers in Formula 1 league racing at least. But we set our sights onto Suzuka circuit in Japan. It's going to be 27 laps of spicy racing. My name is Corey Brooks. I'm one of your two commentators for this evening. Join with me in the booth, it's Omi. How are we doing, Omi?
Hello, Corey. Yes, hello, everyone. Excited to be back here for PSGL PCF2. Phenomenal action as usual. Hungary was absolutely wild. Hoping for more of the same here in Japan as I try to get myself in the game.
Absolutely correct. And as we take a quick look at the standings, you can see there have been a little bit of a change though in the order. You have Julian Klaffenbach now leading after he took victory last week in Hungary. It was a nice, spicy, bit of chaotic race, but managing to defend on the last lap and push on and take a race victory after a monumental battle with Joris Krozen, who sits there in third place. Taika Wade in second, still hasn't scored too many points in the last two races. Has fell down a little bit, only scoring P12 and P15 in his past two races. So Leo Lund sits there in fourth, Lukomsky in fifth, Liam Stevens in sixth, Riccardo Benzoni in seventh, Brad Ulmer in eighth, and Rishan Jacobs ninth, Daniel Kelsden in 10th. And then Jean Halliday, 11th, Kian Gordon-Dock, 12th, Nelson Owls, 13th, Camille Statura in 14th, Tony Ritchie, 16th, Harvey Cowan, top here, Felipe Salza, Riley McKay, and Daniel Parodi at the bottom of the grid. But don't let us keep you waiting here too long as qualifying has started, so I'm going to switch us over there and we can take a look at the action unfolding. So we are back in World Cars, as you can see, after quite a debate of are the cars equal in performance? Have they got their own share of issues? But we're testing it out and we make it one known fact that we can have equal if you're in the World Cars. So you're going to see drivers running their own liveries throughout this race. But we're currently on board with Daniel Kelsden, who's just coming through Spoon there, and powers down the back stretch to finish Sector 2. Looking fairly decent there as he came around, but he's not going. I think he is pushing though, coming through the final corners. The Casio triangle, as it were known, crosses the line. It's a 27 flat, but Joris Krozen leads the field with a 26.4. So pole position, Riccardo Benzoni in P2. But still looking like everybody's coming in to cross the line and set their banker laps. We've come in a bit late into qualifying, so it's a bit awkward to follow on with, but we'll do our best. Brad Oldham in 10th.
Yep, and I've been able to get in the game now, luckily.
Lovely
so I
stuff.
can commentate with you, Corey.
Nice to see you in the lobby, Army. You can get the front row seat on the spicy action yet to unfold here in Suzuka. 18 turns in Sector 1 coming through Snake. You've got to be careful. It's going to be one of the most technical parts of the track, coming through 2, 3, 4, 5. And even when you swing it around the right-hander of the anti-bank curve, you've got to be flat to the floor to swing it around turn 7 again. Very easy to invalidate and push wide. The track's kind of narrow in certain parts and places. He's looking for somebody on a lap there. Will be Gregory, who had a bit of a disconnect, but is back in the lobby and pushes on through Sector 1. Comes around Dunlop curve there. Looking fairly nice in first sector. It is purple, but it is a full purple, 31.5. So pushes on through Degner, coming up the slight hill through turn 10 and swings it round turn 11 of the hairpin. Needs to get back on the power as he comes through the formerly known as 200R.
Yeah, he's definitely pushing on, hoping to be in contention at the front of the field. 12 minutes and 30 seconds to go on the clock as he now gets on the power, heading towards the 130. A very quick part of the circuit where it'll be a brinkmanship between two drivers if they are risk it, going side by side through this part of the lap, and he's heading now to the end of the final chicane, and then it will be a traction zone, and then the line will come up and we'll be able to see what effort he has been able to do this time around.
Absolutely correct. He's pushing out of the final curve, pushes towards the line, and it's only good enough for P11, so it's a 26.8. Everybody within the 26s down to P14, and then just a couple lurking outside with the 27 flats, and then you're Leo Lund with the 27.1. See, Valentino Labella is now going to come out and try and set an outlap. Potentially invalidated that first lap, as does not have a bank of time on the screen. Coming around the final chicane now, the Casio triangle. Turns 16, 17, and then needs to get the optimum line to fire round turn 18. Out of the final curve, gets that rear wing open and powers down the main straight. The one place you get DRS, possibly one of the only places you could benefit from it in overtakes. The rest of the track is going to be fairly difficult to overtake. But does have a car in front and he will not be held back in that sense. Collisions are off, so you can just push straight through as he comes through Snake. Nice and bonny, keeping it nice and tight. Doesn't take too much apex. You can't touch those curbs around here in Suzuka. They are deadly. They really unsettle the car and send you spinning into a frenzy, especially the speeds that these drivers hit. 31.4 for Valentino Labella. So purple sector 1 it will be. Powering up towards turn 10. Slamming on the brakes and swinging around the left hairpin. It's looking fairly tidy. It's a very clean lap, if I say so myself, Omi.
Looking very tidy indeed for Valentino Labella, who will be trying to finish this effort. You've got drivers come for their second run. He is trying, first of all, to get his run and get a good lap on the board as well. Taking the car out wide and now making his way down towards 130 as he tries to get his first lap on the board. Riley McKay's in the pit lane. He's trying to achieve the same. Molnar is on a out lap right now at the moment as well. But yes, back to F1 World Cars as you mentioned earlier on. So we'll continue like this until we get official word from EA, and then we'll have a restart after this session as we've turned collisions off. So no drivers benefit from the very powerful slipstream this game has, and Valentino Labella with that lap has benefited, and he's gone all the way up to P10. So a good effort there and a good lap time to get on the board, but he'll be trying to improve that, but a good banker on the board right now.
Absolutely, gets a decent bank on the board in the 26s with the rest of the field, so only 3 drivers need to break that now as they are on the track. Daniel Kelsden, I will take a quick look on board to see where he is on the track, coming through sector 1 and firing it around turn 4 now. Getting it around Snake nice and easy. Again, you can't touch those inside curves. You'll unsettle the car, but if you're careful on your exit, you get a nice clean line. You can get the power down nice and easily and maintain all your speed. And fires it around Degner 8 and 9 now. taking some apex there on the exit of 9 and powers up the slide incline, swinging it around the little right hander of 10 and firing around the left hander of 11 into the hairpin. Beautiful stuff. Looking fairly clean so far, pushing on nicely. Could it be the improvement that Daniel needs to push him up into the 26s?
We're about to find out whether that will be the case for Daniel, as he's about to once again bring it to the end of the lap. Currently a set at 1 minute 27.030, and he's currently on course to beat it by nearly 1.5 tenths of a second then, as he will bring it to the final chicane on this circuit. He's about to come over the line. Let's see what he is going to be able to do. How much improvement will he find? No improvement, because he decided to come into the pit lane. He wasn't happy with that effort, and he's going to not waste any time with doing another out lap. So he decided to come in.
Brad Holdham, driver, jumping up into 3rd position, but Joris Krozen pushing on now towards the line. Doesn't feel safe there in pole position. He's looking to try and extend that a little bit. Feels like he has more time in the lap and will push through towards the line. Gets the rear wing open for that brief second and improves by just over a tenth. So gaps that little bit more. Didn't feel safe and also found a little bit extra time in his lap and will extend ever so slightly.
It will indeed. So you always want to be taking step forwards when the circuit is improving. That's exactly what the man in P1 has been able to do. The rest of them still trying to attack and still trying to find a good lap time on the board for themselves. Julian Klaffenbach bringing it to the end of the lap, was 71 thousandths up in the 2nd sector. Has he been able to extend that? In the 3rd sector, closest route to the line, he is improved by over a tenth of a second to go up to P7, so a good effort there from Julian Klaffenbach.
Riley McKay gets himself on the board in 13th, so breaks that 26. Everybody's broken the 26 except Daniel Kelsden. Struggling there a little bit, still almost 2 tenths outside of that field, outside of that bracket, and it will be 7 tenths away from that fateful pole position. So still 6 minutes, just under 7 minutes to go in this qualifying session. Does have time to get out and improve on his time, potentially 2 laps depending on how his first lap happens to be, but he is coming out of the field now on an out lap.
Out lap indeed, so he'll be looking to try and find the effort the first time around. If not, he'll come back into the pit lane as well, not waste any time. But time is in this session, which means you do need to find the lap, especially if you are at the back of the field and you have the pace and have the potential to be contending right at the front, because Joris seems like he's going to be the man to beat right now at the moment. He's the only driver with the 1 minute 26.3 lap time. We've got Benzoni with a 1 minute 26.4. So let's see who's going to be able to join him with the 0.3 at the front of the field. And all the while, Joris will be trying to improve, and he's trying right now to make it back-to-back poles, as he took pole in Hungary, trying to do the exact same here in Japan. But there's going to be many drivers. PSGL PCF2 is always close. It is going to be wide open still, and we could see anyone spring this later on.
Absolutely, this is still anybody's game as we currently jump on board with Jean Halliday, who sits there in 10th position but has started a flying lap and just finishes the twisty left right of the S's and Snake into sector 1 and finishes Dunlop Curve now. A 10th up on his sector 1 time. It will be a 31.2, May, I think I saw that correct. But it does push on to get up towards turn 10 and fire around the hairpin once again, the slowest corner of the circuit. You really need to slam on the brakes. So possibly a favoured spot for overtaking potential moves that you could potentially pull off. And as he powers down towards Spoon Corner, fires it round the left and just runs a little bit wide on the apex there to gain all the exit that he can and completely maximises the use of the track on the exit of turn 14 and powers down the backstretch to finish sector 2. Still just under 2 tenths up. So it is an improvement from Jean Halliday. Will currently put him in a fighting chance of the top 3 if he can pull this lap off. Still pushing hard as he powers down the final, powers out of the final corner, crosses the line up into P2. Almost a 3/10 improvement there, so 26.4. So Jean Halliday looking to potentially be within contention for victory. Can he gain that extra 10th on Joris? Does Joris feel safe?
He will definitely now be feeling that there could be threats that do come in behind as Nelson Alves goes into P6. King goes up in P7 right now, but Jan Halliday's best starting position was second place, and he achieved that in Spain, and he's back in second right now, but I'm sure he wants to upgrade that for the 1 point for pole, which you can get. And if you, of course, haven't joined us throughout most of qualifying so far this season, that is an addition for this season, and it means that if you are quick in qualifying, you could be grabbing those extra points, and they are so crucial when we get to the business end of the season. So right now, as it stands, Joris will be on for back-to-back pole positions, but Halliday will want to try to get his first pole of the season, and there will be a fight all the way till the end with the track improving at all times, but it was a good improvement from Jan Halliday. He really needed that one.
Absolutely correct. Really needed that to score some crucial points and potentially get in the mix in the standings and get higher as we get into round 6. As you pass more or less the halfway point. So now is the time to knuckle down and score consecutive points. If you needed to miss any races at any point, potential vacations, now is not the time to do that. Everybody's going to have to get on the focus, get on the ball and push on to score in potential to get that All Faithful Drivers' Championship. We are currently on board with Andre Molnar rocking Kick Sauber colours, so we can only presume that that is him using his team colours as he does drive the Kick Sauber.
Indeed. So 2 minutes to go on the clock. Everyone heading back out onto the circuit, as you can see. Lots of outlaps next to the name of the drivers. So they're all getting set and ready for their final push. A final push which will be very, very critical. If you do make a mistake, if you do go over the white line and invalidate, it will mean that you could lose a lot of positions with the track improving and with a lot of drivers behind also finding that improvement. And if you don't find an improvement yourself, you could find yourself going further down the order, and that is not what any of these drivers want, especially when overtaking can be tricky. You have the chance down to the first line with DRS, but that's always still a true moment of brinkmanship, very close to contact. Always do that part of the lap, not a hard full braking zone for the drivers to make a late lunge down there. You have to be alongside, so it is still hard to overtake than any other part of the circuit. While we can make moves possibly into the hairpin, it's always risky at any other part of the lap here at Suzuka. So it'll be risk versus reward stuff, but you probably don't want to put yourself in that position, and you want to put yourself as high as possible so you aren't having to have those battles throughout the race and trying to make your way up through the field. Over a minute to go, and all the drivers are about over the line and start their flying laps.
Absolutely correct. We've been on board with Andre Molnar. He was the first to get out early and push on to try and get that lap in and get the cleaner. Doesn't want to be distracted by any ghost in front of him. Pushes on towards Spoon. It's looking fairly tidy indeed. We can see if he's improving by any. Doesn't take too much curb and fires it around the exit, maximising that exit once again. You need to get the car as straight as possible so you can get as much speed as you can and lessen the aerodynamic load. Currently not up on his time, so looking like we'll stay exactly where he is. But will have the time to cross the line and go again if he has the fuel to do so. Kick Sauber is coming across the line with only around 15 seconds to go, I reckon. There is 16 seconds, so can now push on to start a lap.
Yep, and you'll be a bit low on your. He will continue on and try and go on the attack as we see the rest of them come across the line. Daniel begins a lap as we see the laps now come to us. The check Camel Stouter currently in P1 to drivers behind.
Absolutely, checkered flag is waving. Joris Krozen is about to finish his lap as he comes around the final turn 18, crosses the line and improves. It's a 26-1 for Joris Krozen. Crossing the line goes Liam Stevens, jumps up to P3. Tycho Hardy up into P2. This is crucial for Tycho Hardy after he's not scored too many points. A P15 in Spain and a P12 in Hungary. So it was not looking good for Tycho Hardy. He needs to get some more points as he sits P2 in driver standings and needs to catch Julian Klaffenbach, who's won 2 races this season. Julian Klaffenbach, though, sitting Oh, he's jumped up to P3 in that qualifying lap. I was just about to go on board with him and he jumps up the order. So jumps up to P3, lurking behind his championship rival though. It's anybody's game at that point. Andre Molnar is not on a lap and will concede to what I can only presume to be Daniel, as Daniel does push on through the final chicane, gets it around turn 16 easy, around 17 powers down towards the line, swings it to the inside line for the optimal racing line and doesn't really improve, stays in P16. And that will do it for qualifying. Everybody's crossed the line. Everybody completed their laps. Joris Krozen takes a pole position here in Japan and looks good for race victory. That's quite some pace margin.
Definitely does look good for race victory. But as we've seen throughout the round so far this season, even a good advantage, you could still be left vulnerable. We could have an absolute wild race due to a safety car that completely changes it up. So anything definitely possible. And Halliday also with the lap where he found in position, he was one of the last few cars over the line, along with Daniel. Interesting qualifying and an interesting.
Absolutely. Things have been switched up a little bit though. A couple of drivers I expected to see a little higher, but I'm not. So struggling with Suzuka's twisty, tight, unique layout. The sector one being very treacherous. Again, you need to get that optimum line and make sure everything pulls back to the commentator's corner while we set ourselves for the mandatory restart and get those collisions turned back on. As you should know by now, if you're new with us, I'll explain it with you once again. During the qualifying session, we have the collisions turned off, so there's none of that nasty slipstream advantage, and you can truly set a lap without being preyed on by drivers behind. So now we get the collisions turned back on and get back to proper racing.
Yep, that is absolutely what we are going to do indeed with how close the margins are. A mega for someone could mean that you completely find yourselves higher up the order, for example, down the back straight. And then if we get maybe to like Monza, where there's lots of straights, it does mean that it does get very chaotic with the slipstream. And basically, for anyone who does watch these support series, basically what Formula 2 and Formula 3 have at some circuit in real life, where they're just all wanting to get to the slipstream, and instead no one ends up making it to the line in times at times as well. So yeah, we just want to keep it close. We just want to keep it fair for all of the drivers. So that is exactly why we do turn off collisions for qualifying, and then for the race, of course, we'll turn them back on so we can have a brilliant race like we usually do as well. And then hopefully we can get official word.
Oh,
Go back to our normal official cars as well. But for now, we're going to be using the F1 World cars. Not the easiest for the commentators, but we're definitely going to have amazing action, and it'll definitely all be worth it.
absolutely. A bit of a lag spike there, cut you off slightly, but as now we take a look back at the last race ever so quickly. It was Julian Clapham, but like I say, who won out in Hungary. It was Joris Krozen, who's lurking behind. It was a nice last lap battle between the two drivers, the Haas and Alpine, before we switched back to World Cars. It's Nelson Alves taking P3, taking up the top three. So it was a nice run for some drivers. It was Daniel Kelston who crossed the line in P3, but I'm pretty sure there may have been a penalty. It's knocked him down there, and Nelson Alves has benefited from the lot and potentially took that podium. As we look onto the standings, it is Julian Klaffenbach, like I say, who leads out here and is looking to potentially put struggles in the mix or potentially put some pressure on Tyker Hardy there. Tyker Hardy was in P2, he was just qualified just behind him in P3. So all in all, looking fairly good in terms of the battles to be had. There's only 8 points separating the front two, and then Joris Krozen, a race winner from the season, won out in Spain, who took pole position here once. Has took another pole position, should I say. Looks to take another victory if he can do so. But Suzuka being one of those tracks that can really get you caught out and put some pressure on your race. Sector 1, Sector 2 being specifically deadly corners, and then the Sector 3 is just a couple of flat out and a hairpin. So you just got to make sure that you nail your first and second sector more than anything.
Absolutely. So Tyker Hardy will definitely be trying to give it his all after not the race that he would have wanted last time out in Budapest. And now at Japan, he'll try turn it around and Klaffenbach will try his absolute best as well to try and extend his lead at the front of the standings. But yeah, fascinating battle. And as we are basically at the crunch point where you need to perform, where drivers sometimes can also find gaps. If you can hit some form at the right time, that could be critical. And if you're able to get a good gap, that could also win you the championship basically at that point and make it harder for all of the other drivers. So being on form right now at this stage of the season is definitely always critical. And had a good start to the season. They need to continue on that all the way throughout because they themselves losing out all the way to the mid part of the season, like we have seen, of course, a few drivers not best few races who might be at the top of the standings. They need to make sure that does not happen, or lots of points will be lost. So the title will fade away. It's always the person who's the most consistent all the way through, even if they're not getting the most wins. It's all about getting those second, third, fourths, and who can maximize those bad weekends. Even if, for example, you're bad at a circuit, it's all about if you can maximize the bad weekend. That could be critical when we add up all the points at the end of the season.
Absolutely correct. Every point matters in that scenario. But before we get ourselves into the racing action, let's have a quick word from our sponsor. So as you saw there, some amazing racing rigs from GT Omega. If you want to go and check them out, be sure to do so. But don't forget that if you use code PSGL, you can grab yourself a little bit of a discount. So just keep your eyes on that. If you are looking for a new racing rig, GT Omega is a place to go. So now, as we get ourselves ready to rock and roll, the grid being set, we wait for the lobby to be set and get everything in full working condition. So all systems go for 27 laps of Suzuka. It's 18 turns, 5.807 kilometers, making 3.608 miles. With only one DRS zone down that main straight, it's very hard to overtake in a lot of the tight, twisty corners. There's potentially only turn 11 in the hairpin that you could get a run down on somebody without DRS, but other than that, it will be down the main straight, coming down the pit straight, should I say, as we look on to what is to become of this Suzuka GP. Any thoughts, Omer? Any predictions early on? Anybody in the chat with any predictions?
Well, what I can predict to you, it's going to be absolutely wild like Budapest and hopefully exciting through as well. But yes, do let us know in the live chat what you guys think is going to happen. But yeah, so if drivers are out of options, they're going to need to make moves at places where we usually wouldn't see it. The risk will be there, but a hairpin definitely can be a good spot to make those overtakes because you easily try outbrake your rival at that part of the circuit, especially when everyone's going to different. If you can catch someone out, that could be critical. Or if you do see a battle in front of you, there's advantage of that because sometimes it's past the past. So you're always trying to look for the opportunity to try find a way to anyway you can, and you don't know when you're going to be getting dive bombed down, especially at the hairpin, but it can happen at any part of the circuit. And turn number one, if you don't have a big speed advantage, it's always closed down there. So that might not even be the best opportunity because it's all close to contact down into the first corner, especially if you're not fully alongside.
Absolutely, you need to be treacherously close into that fast right-hander into turn one. It swings all the way around and can be certainly one of the more dangerous corners to tackle, especially if somebody's got the run on you with the DRS and you try and defend it. You make it side by side. It's very close to get contact as you both battle on to take that optimum racing line and keep yourselves on the track at the same time, because you know you need to sort of run it to the outside line as you fire around so you can get the flick back around into turn two. It's one of those corners that can certainly catch you out, but then you need to set your sights forward into those dangerous twisty S sections. Snake can really catch you out, especially in the earlier laps. But what I can say is the race is getting ready to start. So we'll take us trackside once again, and we can check this spicy action out in Suzuka. So we are joined at the track, and the sky is looking a little bit grey. Could there be a mixing conditions or potentially rain coming later on? It's looking a little dull. There's no sun shining down, so track temperature is going to be low.
Indeed, looks interesting right now at the moment on the circuit. It was already going to be a pretty chaotic race, but if there is rain to come later on in this one, it could be even more wide open and wild, and definitely could change up the order like we saw yesterday in PCF1 with all the weather at Silverstone. Fantastic race there, and we'll be hoping for something similar today as well. And we're about to get underway.
The lights are on. It's 5 lights. The lights are fully lit, they're out, and away we go. It looks like it's a good getaway from your pole sitter, Joris, but don't count out Tycho Hardy as he tries to lurk behind into turn one. Everybody's staying fairly clean. Looking down the order, couple cars losing out, going side by side. We see Leo Lund potentially looking to get past as he does get that move done on Jean Halliday. Kamil Statura moving up, Kian Gordondorp moving up, Lukomski battling away. I think it may be a moment there for Lukomski as he fell down the order. He's all the way down into 19th. I saw a bit of debris fly off there. Is that damaged front end plate? Potentially missing. It is. Lukomski picking up the front end plate damage, so he's going to struggle here in this opening lap while everybody powers on.
Everybody powers on indeed, down to the hairpin. A very chaotic start to the race, as you saw there, a bit of debris, we believe, coming from the car. Lukomski, who was really in the battling. Talking about in the battling, Brad Hold'em on those medium compound tyres, trying to take the advantage of those mediums ahead of the hards of Jan Halliday, and he will do so, and he moves up to P7. So right now, top 7 on those medium compound tyres, and everyone else, other than Felipe Salza, is on those hards as well, as we make our way down towards 130R. Tope pulling out, trying to have a look, but the field is immediately very close as we get to the end of the opening lap here at Suzuka, and trying to have a go with Riccardo Benzoni. He was trying to get past Tope.
Yeah, there's a little look there to the inside line, but ultimately has to fall behind. Was a bit too early on the brakes there. Was in no position to attack. However, Tope is looking to make it side by side with Riccardo Benzoni. Oh, it's not. It's Leo Lund as well, making it side by side. Riccardo Benzoni's losing out dramatically here.
Going wheel to wheel, close to contact between the two of them. Outside to inside to P5 for Leo Lund. Able to make the move on Riccardo Benzoni. But yeah, the F1 World Car's not making our life easy at all, trying to identify who is battling when you've got cars scattered all over the road, dueling it out for one piece of tarmac. But the gap's already staying close. Now the question is, can the hard runners remain with the medium runners? And that will be critical for maybe a fight back later on in the race when the tyres are the opposite for them as well. But 3/10 between Joris and Hardy, and they're maintaining position at the front behind her. They're all squabbling and looking for a way through. A man who's going to be trying to find a way through is Felipe Salza. As I mentioned, the top 7 are on the mediums, everyone else on the hards other than Felipe Salza. So he's going to be battling up against the hard runners, so he needs to try and make some overtakes now.
We are currently on board as he closes up slightly behind Kian Gordondorp, but can he make the advantage early on while he has the tyre advantage? He does look to swing it to the outside line, makes it side by side into the final chicane, swings it round into the left guard. The Optimum Racing line takes the inside and takes that position away, moves up into P11. Felipe Salza optimal, using those medium tyres to his advantage and pushing on now to gain all the positions he can and get past these hard runners before the hards become a threat, before those hards warm up and start to work and the compound starts to really lay down that rubber and push on. They need to benefit all they can.
Tope and Klaffenbach both battling through the opening part of the lap as well, and it's Tope in P3, Klaffenbach in P4, so they're all looking to try and make some overtakes immediately in this one. But yes, the PCF4 champion currently in 11th position, and he'll be trying to set up another move. How brave is he going? Is he feeling late on the brakes? As we go down to the hairpin, he knows he's going to make the moves quickly. Has a little look to the inside, elects not to go for it. If it's a traction race, we would expect it to be won by the medium compound runner, but he isn't able to fully get alongside. He's having to use a lot of ERS to try and get through, which will mean that it'll be a bit more harder later on in this race. He'll need to harvest a bit as well, but he'll try to get through down the back straight, using his advantage, using the traction as well, and let's see whether he can clear Kamil Stoutra, who's been a contender at times at the front of the field. Tope getting very close to another move. He's looking for second place right now, and he's very close to pulling alongside Tycho Hardy, who is having to possibly even look to the inside of Joris to make sure that he doesn't come under too much threat, but they're all maintaining order at this stage of the race.
Absolutely. Tope in the bright pink car, should I say. Nice livery to have, and make yourself easily visible as Tycho Hardy passes Joris Krozen, and so does Tope. Tope looking now to the outside line, really trying to take the position away and make Joris drop 2 positions. The pole sitter down into P3 as Tope does get that move completed on the exit of turn 4. So looking fairly well is Tope, really pushing on. Didn't really qualify in the highest position, but in the race he's looking very, very quick indeed. These conditions working beautifully for him.
Tope, the man on the charge right now, charging his way up to second place, but Joris will still be in there trying to fight back. Still early in this race. Is anyone throwing some dive bombs as we go down to the hairpin? No one feeling brave enough for that yet. No need to risk it at this stage yet as well, unless you are a driver that really needs to get on with it. Still a long race to go. You do not want to risk contact when we're only on lap 4 of the contest out of 27. But Leoland looking close to Julian Klappenbach. He'll try and push and go on the attack. Another man that's looking close is Brad Holden, and he's going to try and get past Riccardo Benzoni using a bit of ERS, but of course you don't want to waste it all right now. And let's see whether Brad Holden can put some pressure on for P6.
Absolutely correct. Can Brad put the pressure on as there was a bit of a battle though? He's looking to try and get past. He's making himself large in the mirrors of Riccardo Benzoni, but does not ultimately get the move. He's very, very close now. Under attack from Jean Halliday. Halliday making it to the inside line of both cars, looking for the double overtake into turn 1. Slight contact with Riccardo Benzoni, but he's now falling ultimately behind and only gains 1 position on that. Was looking good for the double overtake, but just couldn't get it. Slight little wheel taps from Benzoni. Benzoni keeping P6. Some drivers struggling through these corners, struggling for pace. Could the setups be attuned differently? I mean, the weather looking a little grim. Are we expecting a bit of a wet race? Are they running a little bit higher downforce to compensate for the end of the race if it is to come? It does look like it's getting slightly darker from my angle. We can only wait and see how the laps unfold. Still 22 laps remain. A lot of racing yet to go. The race has only just begun.
Absolutely. The only driver with a penalty right now is Lukumski, of course, who had that damage on the opening lap of the contest. He's 27 seconds back, but of course he'll be pushing on. He'll be gaining all the way as well. Julian Klappenbach getting onto the back of Joris in the battle for third, who's in tunnels, so doing it on Hardy. They're all just in the mostly we're just looking for who's just over a tenth behind, because that's where we can tell that possibly an overtake can happen. And the driver is looking a little bit more racy as well, because 4 tenths, 2 tenths, normally normal, and Felipe Souza wants to get on with it. He's using ERS. Is he going to be able to find a way by? Down towards turn 1, always very risky. Is he going to be able to commit for that move? He won't be able to do so. Further back we will look, and Valentino Labella is ahead of Ben Marple, so Labella up to P18. Those guys were also having a battle down the pit straight.
The DRS certainly being a weapon of choice to use. You can combine it with that battery and really get some speed down the long straight. It makes it easy with that rear wing open. One of the only places to do it around Suzuka. It's the sector's a bit too treacherous. Too many turns, twists and bends as you get through sectors 1 and 2. It's only down the back stretch that you could potentially whack another DRS zone, but you do cross over turn 9 coming out of Degner, going down that back stretch as we push on towards Spoon now. Joris still lurking behind. He's not potentially fought on for the front position back. He's certainly playing out his strategy now. He just wants to stay within that DRS and not fall too far behind and wait for his opportune moment to fight and get that position and get that race victory. It would make it 2 this season if he can pull it off. Bit of action
getting
there.
a bit of front wing damage there as well.
Yeah, you can see the front right end plate is missing as he sends it through on Andre Molnar. Picks up that position. Andre locking those rears ever so slightly, was not expecting that. And slammed on the brakes to avoid it as Daniel moves up another position. So does Andre. Nelson losing out without that DRS and getting passed by 2 cars. So it shows you how powerful the DRS here. The DRS is here in Suzuka with only having one zone. You push with that battery and it's easy pickings. You can drop 2, maybe 3 positions depending on how close that pack is coming out of the final corner. You need to be very, very careful down that main straight.
So Daniel was in a battle through a spoon curve. We've already seen how close he can get through that part of the lap, and that is where he has lost a bit of that front wing, I should say, end plate. So that is not what he wants at all, and it means that is always going to be the risk when you are trying to make a move at that part of the circuit. And if the battles do continue down to 130, it always gets very close. And we have, of course, seen a few pit stops, as you would have seen. We've seen Tope into the pit lane. So we've had Tope dive it in. So he'll be looking to go on the attack, try get a little bit of a... Always be crucial if you are able to push a little bit more ahead if all the other drivers are battling. And right now they are 2 battling the circuit, but they're not going to risk anything. They're not going to go wild. It'll only be easy DRS passes at this, least for the drivers at the front. To make your way through, lead the pit lane. Felipe Salz on those mediums is also into the pit lane as well, as alongside. Easily take the lead as Kian Godendorp sets the first race.
Absolutely, Kian Godendorp getting the fastest lap there, lovely in ninth position. But we see a change in the lead. Tycho Hardy pushing on for what could be race victory. Not won this season, however, has led the standings for at least the last 3 races, I believe. He just scored consistent points, but now drops down to P2, passed by Julian Klaffenbach, who has won in Miami and won last week out in Hungary. But it's looking like Joris could be potentially pushing on for his 2nd victory. Can he do anything to stop Tycho Hardy? Tycho Hardy looking for his 1st victory. Joris looking for his 2nd and potentially getting higher up in the standings. Currently sits 3rd, I believe, but looks to get higher. There's a championship at stake. He's only, well, I say only, it is round 6, still a fair few races to go, but it's going to be difficult. Everyone's going to be fighting very, very hard for it, especially these front-running drivers, the faster drivers in F2. This front wild pack of drivers that you normally see every week, unless there's a couple of incidents that happen and send drivers to the back of the field. However, the race has been fairly clean so far, not too much contact, a few little bumper barges, one with Riccardo Benzoni earlier on, who currently sits in 4th position. But it's Joris there, dives into the pits to swap off those medium tyres, only lasting around 8 laps. 7-8 laps, drivers choosing to swap them out. Tycho Hardy looking to go 1 lap extra as Julian Klaffenbach lurks behind, looking to potentially pass. Can he do anything in this lap? Are they on there in laps? It's anybody's game on the strategy to play. Could it be a 2-stop? What are the predictions here? I will take a quick look at the tyres to see who's gone on what. As Joris has gone on to the hards, and the drivers before him also onto the hard compound tyre. So medium to hards, early pit stops, as there is still 19 laps to go. Is there? 18 laps to go, should I say?
Indeed. And you of course talk about this wild front pack, which can be pretty large as well, every single race as well, as it is always wide open. You just don't know when you go into a race in who's going to be in contention where every single week as well, and that's one of the amazing things to see. And you don't know who's going to win. It's not even most of the time the driver with the full outright pace. It's all about how you play the race as well, and it can come down to tactics in the final few laps with where you want the DRS around the circuit. Of course, we have a good overtaking opportunity if you can save up the battery at the final part of the lap, which our leading drivers currently are making their way through. And it's going to be Brad Holdham coming into the pit lane, and it's going to be our top 2 switching places as Julian Klaffenbach takes over the lead down to turn number 1.
Absolutely, Julian Klaffenbach, a man who's won 2 races already, looking to potentially win again, and extend that Drivers' Championship lead. Currently sits leading the championship, so it's a good place to be. Must feel good. Only 8 points separating him and Tycho Hardy. So Tycho Hardy looking to push on and stop any further point advancement for Julian Claffenbach, as he was pushed down to P2 after not getting points in the last 2 races. A bit of a difficult time there for Tycho Hardy, but looks like he's back on pace, looking to push on and potentially get a decent race in today.
Indeed, as we see is that Labella dropping down the order a little bit. It seems like he has had a little bit of a mistake, had a little bit of a moment on the circuit, and he will be continuing on as well. The driver was battling a little bit at the early stage of this race, but unfortunately it's not been battling high up for him so far today. You'll hope to change that, and definitely there is an opportunity that could change throughout if there is a safety car late in this one, and a safety car always does turn the race on its head, especially depending on the timing of the safety car as well. Julian Claffenbach, our race leader, has dived it into the pit lane, and Nelson Alves, that must have been contact. He's gone round right at the end of the lap. He's continued on, but has lost a bit of time, has Nelson Alves.
Oh, if that were coming out of the final corner, he wouldn't have lost too much time. It is a slow-moving corner, so got a bit lucky there. Didn't lose out too much, rather than he would have in a fast corner, one of the more high-speed corners. So gets himself going again ever so cleanly, but it's Kian Gordon-Dorp who stays ever so closer to Camille Stachura. These hard runners now still going and extending, but it's Tycho Hardy still running those medium tyres with Riccardo Benzoni. These 2 drivers going long, hoping to push that little bit more, and then they will ultimately box, potentially put on those hard boots depending on the weather conditions. I'm still holding out for the potentiality of rain with the way those clouds look. The sky's ever so grey, but looking to extend their medium stint as long as they can while they lead the race.
That's what they're trying to do as well. Are our top 2 in this one, and then it's going to be top 8 leading the train of the drivers who have made a pit stop as well. Lukumski continuing on, but much more further back as well on the 11th tour out of 27. So we will expect our top 2 to be coming in soon, but they are taking their mediums a little bit longer, and they will continue to do so as they will go on to the 12th lap of this race, and we're going to see another change of the lead as Benzoni now hits the front here in Suzuka.
Sean Halliday is mighty close though to those medium runners, lurking behind in P3 with the DRS. He can get the overspeed on the next lap coming down the pit straight, providing that Riccardo Benzoni and Tycho Hardy do not slide into that pit lane and get off those horrible worn out medium tyres and potentially box for those hard fresh boots. Needs to push on till the end of the race if they can do so, but I potentially will be able to. Only 15 laps remain now, so the strategy certainly looking in their favour. They feel like they can extend on those mediums, but don't count out Jean Halliday lurking behind. If they box this lap, it'll be easy pickings for Halliday. If they don't, it may be an overtaking in the making, as he stays mighty close behind Tycho Hardy. Staying ever close in that slipstream. The collisions being back on after qualifying, you will pick up that extra speed and will take that double dose of DRS, as he'll have his own wing open and pick up that extra DRS slipstream from Tycho Hardy. So can he do anything about it coming through the final sector, firing it round 130R? Very, very close indeed, right up to the rear diffuser there as he enters the final chicane. Had to back out of it, maybe didn't want to cause a bit of contact, but gets that rear wing open as we see Riccardo Benzoni box and get off those tyres. It will be easy pickings for Jean Halliday to use that DRS and pull ahead, but Tycho Hardy also had the DRS, just got that slipstream and the overspeed and pulls ahead. It's easy done.
Was very close out of the final corner, which meant that he got to that moment fast. That first belonging to Lund now belongs to Brad Oldham, who's also in this train as well, as it's Tope who's able to get ahead of Leo Lund. Benzoni joining the road directly currently behind Felipe Souza, who has got 5-lap old hard carbon tyres, the exact same as Leo Lund. Tope has got 6 right now. He's the driver in the lead of this train, and soon these drivers will be getting onto the back of Nelson Alves. So it's 7-second gap, and they'll be hoping that they're all in by the time that does happen. Traffic can play a huge part, as we saw last time out in Budapest. Looking about the move, trying to go the long way around is Brad Hold'em from the outside line to the inside. It is close to contact between the two of them, but Julian Klaffenbach is just going to be able to get the power down and hold the position.
Oh, that's not good for Klaffenbach. He is trying to push on for Joris Krozen. Those drivers boxing earlier on and slapping on those hard compound tyres, pushing on. They were leading the race early on, the front three in the first stint. The pit stop strategy certainly switching things around. This is my favourite part of every race. When you get halfway through, everybody starts swapping the tyres and the pit stop strategy comes into play. You never know where you're going to fall out. You never know what driver you're going to sit behind and lose time. It completely can change a race leader. It can change the top 3, the top 5 even, depending on your pit stop strategy and depending if somebody gets an undercut, if they get the overcut, which may be a powerful thing here. If it's done, you see Jean Halliday leading away. Tycho Hardy's still in P2 on those medium tyres, but he's dropping a bit of time now to Jean Halliday. Has he extended those mediums a little bit too long? As those hard runners lurk behind, the hard tyres certainly being the better tyre to be on, as the still yet to box. So those first stint strategies, hards, mediums, the hards seem to be working in their favour as they're right on the rear diffuser of Tycho Hardy. It's looking close as we come through, as we head towards Spoon, should I say?
It is looking close right now. 0.6 of a second. Well, it's a bigger gap than we've seen so far, but further back it is going to be even closer, and that is going to be Felipe Sousa, who is up against Brad Hold'em. Sousa trying to go the long way around. Hold'em won't want to give it up. Is Sousa gonna keep it? He's run all wheels off the road. That's not what he wanted. And now trying to get involved is Riccardo Benzoni, who's going to try and make a move of his own, trying to be opportunistic, as finally Tycho Hardy dives it into the pit lane. But that was so close to contact as Sousa tried to get past Hold'em. Benzoni tried to get involved, and we have Joris also looking about the move, trying to get to the inside line as well of Leo Lund, and once again is close to contact, but it's Lund who stays ahead.
Yeah, Joris Krozen, the pole sitter, looking to push on and make all the positions that he can now and gain back some of that lost time through the pit stop strategies. But it's now Leo Lund pushing on to get past Tope. Does make it easy with the DRS, but so is Joris. Joris is also looking to that inside line, but just can't get it. Backs out of it as we come through the twisty, tight turns of Sector 1.
Always getting close to this part of the lap, and let's see whether we're going to see an attack into the hairpin from one of these drivers, because they all seem very close and they all seem like what they want to get on with it as well, as we make our way through, and we're going to be going down towards the hairpin in this battle that is behind Julian Klaffenbach, looking about the move, trying to go to the inside line. Holden trying to risk it all the way around. Right now it's pass or be pass stuff, so they all do definitely have to be careful in this battle. But Tycho Hardy joining 1.4 seconds back. He'll have an advantage though compared to the rest of them, and he'll have fresher hard compound tires, and he'll surely charge onto the back with the amount that is taking place and the amount of battling that we're about to see as well down the straight. Joris trying to make the move, and right now Leo Lund will be hoping that they scrap like crazy behind, because if they do scrap like crazy behind, it'll give him an opportunity to run away as Liam Stevens gets ahead of Jan Halliday. That's going to be an easy switch between the two of them. Nelson Alves dives it into the pit lane as these guys all make their way onto 16 now.
Controversial moment though between Brad and Riccardo Benzoni. Just jumped on board with that as we come through the final chicane. Brad Holden was side by side with Riccardo Benzoni. A little bit of contact there. Riccardo Benzoni are having a big wobble, both of them dropping out. Dramatic time. They're still within that 1 second, but after that moment could potentially lose it as they all try and slipstream away and push on. And can he stay within DRS? He does. He pushes through the first sector and gains dramatic time, which Riccardo Benzoni has lost out. Still 9/10 behind after that little moment. So far, Joris Krozen looking to push on and potentially catch what is Leo Lund and Tope. and get ahead of this little bit of a train and gain back the time that he's lost from the front. All this battling doing him no favours whatsoever, potentially costing him a race victory, but needs to focus and press on as we power on towards Spoon. Liam Stevens has taken lead of the race so far, but yet to box. Still needs to box.
So still needs to box indeed, as you mentioned, and he is going. So Liam Stevens is going to come in as we see Joris trying to dive to the inside. Will he be able to get through? That is super bravery up against Leo Lund. He's trying to create some room for himself while they get close to the race lead. Who's going to come out in front of this battle? It's going to be Tope getting the power down, and Leo Lund, is he going to be left vulnerable? He is going to be left vulnerable as we roar onto the start finish straight, and there's going to be mega speed, but will there be anywhere to go for Joris, who has to back out of it? And now there is going to be the inside line for Leo Lund, getting to that inside line, getting to the next race lead at the moment. It's Tope in 6th, and then it's going to be Joris in 7th, Klaffenbach, and he's just been able to stay ahead of Brad Holdermeers.
Oh, we lost the connection there for Omi. He's cut out there ever so slightly, but we do look on to Brad Holdham as he's trying to gain all the positions he can, currently under attack from Riccardo Benzoni. Riccardo Benzoni making himself large in that left side mirror, letting him know I'm here and I'm gonna get through. If that door is open, I'm gonna push on and gain all the positions that I can. But as we look on, is Joris getting mighty close to the rear diffuser of Tope. Leo Lund still leading this DRS train, still leading this pack. 8 seconds now separate them from the front four. That time has opened up, was 7 seconds before they had all the fighting that we have been seeing. So they are losing slight time, but they're still pushing on for the lead of the race if they can keep themselves nice and clean. Joris staying very, very, very close as we come down towards 130i. He's right on the diffuser of Tope. He will get the DRS, and will he get the overspeed? Does he look to send it into the final chicane? He doesn't. Just swings to the inside. Puts a bit of pressure on Tope. Joris again gets that rear wing open, and could he potentially get the overspeed, or does it go to Julian Klaffenbach's favour? Is he close enough? He does have a look. It's Joris Krozen burning the battery to defend against Julian Klaffenbach there. He was in a prime position to push on to get that position away from him.
Wild battling indeed here at Suzuka. Nelson now setting the fastest lap of the race. He's been on those mediums for 2 laps, but it's going to be Kamil Statra now, who is immediately onto the back. Keep an eye on those medium runners. They will be trying to pass at will where they want around the circuit, and it can get very close when the hard runners battle amongst themselves, but they do have to be careful. Right, Kamil Statra about to make the move on Felipe Sousa. It's going to be surely a move coming into the hairpin. Sousa covered that one off. He knew there was going to be a dive bomb further up ahead as well. It's a traction race between Brad Holdham, and he's going wheel to wheel with Riccardo Benzoni. They're so close to making contact, but it's going to be Holdham who gets that position. Kamil Statra still not able to get through. Sousa defending that one brilliantly at this moment, but he'll be under more pressure when we go down to the final chicane. Some phenomenal battling though, and now getting the power down surely. Trying to take the place will be Kamil Statra. Meanwhile, Julian Klaffenbach getting very close, and they're all pushing each other right now as Kamil Statra is able to pull alongside, backside of it into 130 yard. Does not want to risk contact. The top 3 diving it into the pit lane. That will be close to contact and all over the road there for Benzoni, who's ghosted momentarily. He was all out of shape. He was hit momentarily. He's continued on as we make our way onto the straight, and it's going to be Hardy who is going to be up alongside, and we're going to go 3 wide nearly in the background as well as we see the move complete from Holdham. He's able to get there as well. So it's Holdham and then Tycho Hardy with a penalty currently in P5. He's got a 10-second penalty for gaining a position. He might be able to get that one removed in the steward's room depending on how that goes. So that one will definitely go to the stewards if he can. So this race still is provisional, of course. When we get to the end of this one, lots can change when we get to the steward room as well, and we'll inform you about all of that next week.
Absolutely correct. But in the meantime, we look at, oh, there's a big moment there for Leo Lund. Had a big snap, collected himself nicely, but he's under attack from Julian Klaffenbach. Klaffenbach taking the podium away. He's ran it wide after that big moment there. That was insane through Degner. Just sent it a little bit too hard. Snap on the rear, managing to collect the car and keep himself out of the ever so close walls as you cross underneath 130R. But that was Brad is falling down.
Yep, he was forced wide, through spoon curve. Anyone who attempts to move on the outside of spoon curve is risking that, as we see Kian Godendorp get past him, as well as Kamil Sautra clears Riccardo Benzoni. Phenomenal battling in this one, but yes, going around the outside of spoon curve does not seem like the way to go so far. Every driver who I've seen attempt that so far keeps getting pushed off and is vulnerable to the drivers behind. So the drivers having to pick their moment to when to make the overtakes. And talking about picking their moment, Jan Halliday up alongside and through on Brad Holden.
That was a very calculated move from Jean Halliday. We've seen it before and we've seen it now. A very talented driver looking to push on. He was in contention for P2 earlier on, was pushing very on at the start of the race, but now sits there in 10th position with the strategy now complete. The DRS train closing back up down to P13, Felipe Salza, and then a 7-second gap to Nelson Alves, and another bit of a 3-car train. So there's a mix in battles here, but this monumental 13-car train powering lap after lap, battle after battle. We see Liam Stevens going for a bit of a dive and makes it side by side with Riccardo Benzoni. Certainly getting the elbows out there, but Riccardo Benzoni defending like a lion. He's not going to give that position away lightly. The medium tyre for Liam Stevens is going to make it easy. Picking through Spoon as he does get the move done through the first left-hander of Spoon corner. Gets ahead. That's P7 for Liam Stevens. Sets sights back on Camille Statura. Camille on the medium compound tyre, so does have the better compound at the minute.
Oh. Kian Godendorp into the wall and out of the race. He was going side by side to 130R, and that's the risk. The safety car is out. Godendorp out of the race, the safety car out, and that was always the risk. Risking it through 130R, and he's found the barrier, and that is the end of his race.
Oh no, so unfortunate for Kian Godendorp, just pushing that a little bit too hard. Suzuka has claimed a victim and everybody jumps into the pits for the soft compound tyre. It is now going to be around about a 4 lap, maybe 5 lap.
Yeah, and Gregory as well, and Riley McKay. So the top 3 deciding to continue on, Corey.
Oh, the top 3 there, staying out on those medium compound tyre, have made a drastic mistake. Everybody swapping for the soft compound tyre will push on for what will essentially be a 5-lapper. We see Julian Klaffenbach on the medium tyres, potentially does not have fresh softs to use, so it's actually going to be a bit of a mix in tyres. You see Riccardo Benzoni, Felipe Souza, Leo Lund on the fresh medium tyres alongside Julian Klaffenbach, and everybody else opting for the fresh soft. So some drivers save using the soft tyres, even though the soft tyres are available to everybody. There's been a lobby restart. You can use them if you ever so wish. Jean Halliday only on 3-lap holds. Gregory and Riley only on 2-lap holds. Potentially they have the tyre where to go to the distance. However, the soft compound tyre being the faster tyre is certainly going to put the pressure on the front 3. But that front 3, Jean Halliday could be in within the chance of winning. 3-lap old tyres, they are still fairly fresh and can push on very hard.
Still pretty fresh indeed, but the soft runners definitely will have that charge coming in. And that's exactly what Tope wanted, because he was on the complete opposite end. If the safety car did not come out, he would have been on one of the oldest hard compound of tyres, and he would have found himself degrading down the order surely with drivers on those mediums charging through, with the drivers also on the hards, but with fresher hards compared to him going through. So this could definitely be a bit of a helping for Tope to be able to get up to first position and be able to contend and be competitive at the end of this race. So phenomenal stuff possibly coming up for him in the latter stages of this one as well. The top 2 are going to be hoping though that the drivers behind all duel like crazy, which is absolutely possible with what we've seen so far. So it's going to be an absolute wild brawl at the end as we will make our way onto lap number 22, and the safety car will hopefully be in at the end of this lap, and then we'll be able to get the racing underway all the way till the checkered flag.
Absolutely correct. Like you say, it's going to be an absolute brawl. It's essentially turned into a last stint of a 5-lapper, if you will. The safety car should be in this lap, I hope, at the end of this racing lap. So we will get around about 5 racing laps. So 5-lapper, if you would. So the soft tyre certainly being a tyre of choice to push on for 5 laps. But those opting for the mediums may lose out. Unless they've got the pace to push ahead. What is the tyre difference, the pace difference between soft and mediums? I can imagine it being a couple tenths at least. especially through the fast-flowing Sector 1 and those very harsh corners through Degner turns 8 and 9 as you get ready to start Sector 2. So far, everybody desperately weaving and setting their tyre temps, getting the benefit of the compound, warming them up the best they can as they prepare for the safety car to go in at the end of this lap. We've not had the call yet, but I'm predicting the future.
Well, I think you're pretty right, unless the game decides something crazier things as well. But yeah, the safety car should be in. The safety car hopefully should be in, and we'll be able to get a sprint to the checkered flag to the end underway, with Halliday, Gregory, Riley McKay on those mediums trying to defend. Tope and everyone downwards on fresh tyres, whether most of them being on the soft, some on the mediums, but everyone with one goal trying to attack all the way through. So cannot wait to see who is going to be coming out on top in this one. Safety car is coming in at the end of this lap, so your prediction is absolutely correct.
Lovely stuff. It's nice to be right for a change, but we will go on board with Jean Halliday as he slows everybody down, weaves dramatically to get that one final push of tyre temperature as he comes to the final chicane now, gets himself set up, powers on the exit. Has he gone? I think he has. He powers out of turn 18 now, the last curve, and pushes across the line to get this race going once again. 5 laps remain. It's anybody's game at this point as the safety car has completely bunched up the field. There are no more gaps between drivers. Everybody within DRS will be activated next lap. We still see the safety car banner, but I can assure you we are green flags. It's just an in-game bug.
In-game bug indeed. So we'll continue on under green flag racing conditions all the way, we hope at least, to the end of the contest with Jan Halliday 3/10 ahead of Gregory, then Riley McKay, the top 3 maintaining order, not coming under the pressure that some would have expected, but this is where they will really be coming under the threat, and Tope is going to try his absolute best to find a way through. We'll also look further back to see whether we're getting any moves. A bit of a well-behaved restart so far. Leoland could be under a bit of pressure from Nelson Alves, and Leoland not being able to fire up that medium copper tires like others have been able to. Tope is going to get to the inside line. Tope is going to complete move number 1 for him, and it's 1 down, 2 to go for him right now as he moves out to 3rd, and Joris is also going to try find a way through as we make our way down to 130R.
Joris Kroos and the pole sitter looking to get past and stay with Tope. Tope currently being his rival for the victory of the race. Needs to stay right behind that fashionably pink car as he does send it to the outside line into the final chicane. Gets it done. It's Riley McKay who drops 2 places as Klaffenbach follows Joris Kroos through. Sorry, should I say? Almost called him Julian, but it's Julian Klaffenbach following Joris Kroos through the final chicane and getting up just behind him P5. So still a battle between Tope, Joris and Julian, but it could be anybody's game so far. Julian on the medium compounder tyre did not opt for the softs in the final 5 laps that we saw, that we have yet to see, should I say, as we push on with only 4 laps remaining, including this one.
Laps, including this one, as you say, to go in what has been a brilliant race from start to finish. Exactly the expectation that we had coming into race as well. Lunch from Ricardo Benzoni to the inside of Riley McKay, also trying to get involved with Brad Holdham, who was sideways. Momentarily he tried to put the pressure on. Still, that's close to contact between Riley McKay and Benzoni. Has dropped behind, and he's also dropped behind Brad Holdham, who is going the long way around, and Brad Holdham is able to take the position. Riley McKay backing out of that one, does not want to risk contact and end his and his rival's race as well, as Tope is making another move, getting past Gregory, and then it's only going to Jan Halliday, that's standing himself and victory, as Molnar also makes the move on McKay.
Andre Molnar finally getting into some points. Has struggled for points this season, but could potentially look to take the final points position here, unless he pushes on to take Brad Holdham. But we do see Tope now going for lead of the racers. Here comes Gregory, no backside of it there into turn 1. Does not want to risk the contact within these final closing laps. Toppe taking lead of the race, and Joris still down in 4th position. Cannot seem to get past Gregory, as Julian Klaffenbach lurking just behind him. It's Toppe looking good for what could be his first race of this season. And it will be the 4th different race winner of this season, as he does take purple sector 1. Coming around turn 8, now we go. Coming around turn 9, should I say. Finishing Degner and setting sights onto the hairpin, slams onto the brakes. Look at how much grip those soft tyres have as he's starting to bridge that gap and potentially look to break DRS on Jean Halliday, leaving Jean under complete and utter pressure from the drivers behind. With the final closing laps to come, it's coming Toppe's way, completely and utterly.
Absolutely, this is great for him because of course Jan Halliday not able to contend and the nearest soft runner is stuck and he knows that he needs to get on with it. He's looking for that inside line and it's super close between the two of them. As we make our way through, there will be an opportunity as we go into the chicane. He's going to have to go round the outside. Julian Klavenbach also will try and make an opportunistic move. That's close to contact between the two of them. Ben Marple's given a 3-second time penalty for multiple warning. Klavenbach's going to want to get involved, but if drivers are unable to get on with it, then that will mean that they will be left vulnerable. And Joris is immediately having to break the slipstream. Klavenbach looking left, looking right, still not able to find a way through, and he is desperate for that move to come his way, but there is no way through around the circuit. Can be hard to overtake. Penultimate tour right now, and it's going to be Toppe trying to pull away. Halliday's used that DRS though to gain a little bit back on the start finish straight. He'll be hoping to maintain the gap all the way through. Ben Marples is our third retirement from the race. That is in the pit lane, but it's going to be a phenomenal finish to this race as Klaffenbach still trying to put the pressure on Joris, who's in turn trying to do it on Gregory. Phenomenal end coming, and let's see whether we're going to get a dive bomb now from Klaffenbach, who is going to go a little bit greedy and try and make the move at the end of this one. Klaffenbach being late on the brakes, dives to the inside, bit of contact made. Who gets the power down first? It's going to be Joris, up alongside with the soft tyres, using the advantage, and he's going to hold on to 4th right now.
Those soft tyres certainly saving Joris Krozen, who seems to be struggling in the final closing laps of this race. Klaffenbach looking to potentially take that position away and will get the benefit of the points. He's leading the standings so far. He can push on to gain a podium if he can set his sights on it. Only 2 laps remaining. We're on the penultimate lap as we come round 130R for the second to last time. He's pushing on, but Toppe looking like could be under attack from Jean Halliday. Could Jean Halliday be in the mix for race victory? Are those soft tyres burning away? The track is certainly a lot sunnier than it was earlier. Jean Halliday looks to overtake Toppe on the last lap of the race. It's now going to be next to impossible for Toppe to respond. Where can he get an overtake? He doesn't have the DRS advantage now as we start the final lap, but as we set sights on the tight twisty S's, the snake section in the first sector, is Jean Halliday looking good for race victories? He's almost half a second clear. Is half a second clear. Trying to push as hard as possible and gain the biggest gap that he can and defend against what is a pink, very big, bright pink car lurking in his mirrors.
Absolutely lurking in his mirrors ahead. Brilliant battling behind Salza, currently able to get to 10th position. Is Klaffenbach going to be making a late lunge once again? Will it be Camel Stoucher? It'll be Klaffenbach going late on the brakes, momentarily sideways, ghosted as well, and that will open the door, contact, and that's going to be round. And it's going to be round once again for Joris. Camel Stoucher was trying to get involved, and they're battling all the way to the end. Ghosted is Julian Klaffenbach, who is inside momentarily, who's going to be able to get out. Ahead it's going to be Klaffenbach, right behind Benzoni, who's in 4th, and then it's going to be Stevens, then it's going to be Camel Stoucher, Joris in 8th, but Jan Halliday's on his way to victory, unless Toppe can deny him right at the end.
Toppe looking, can he do anything? He's draining the battery, he's pushing everything he's got. He's got the speed at 130R. He's coming down the outside line, looking for a last minute lunge as he swings his contact though, loses the back end ever so slightly. Jean Halliday just keeping the first position, pushing on to the line, and will win here in Suzuka as we see a photo finish at the back of the grid there, all the way down to the line. That was insane in the final few corners. Toppe got the speed out of 130R, pushing on to try and get him in the final chicane, but couldn't get it. Only good enough for P2, but it will be Jean Halliday taking victory for the first time this season in PSGL F2. What a beautiful finish to the end of the race, and a photo finish for the drivers outside of the podium as they power down towards the line. 2 and 3 cars wide crossing that final line. Beautiful stuff and beautiful racing from everybody.
Absolutely wild scene as well. Richie informing us last win for Jan Halliday was F3 in season 32. So he's had to wait for this winning feeling, and it wasn't confirmed. It wasn't confirmed even till we got to that last corner. Top A risking it all at the end, wasn't able to get through, and even further back, they risked absolutely everything they had, as it told them we will get the bonus point for fastest lap. He was able to set the fastest tour. He finished in eighth, but a wild race once again, and aided with that late safety car that gave us a brilliant sprint to the end.
Absolutely. Jean Halliday taking that victory, top 8 in second, and Gregory picking up a podium there. Good points for him. Ricardo Benzoni just missing out there in P4. Julian Klaffenbach, the driver's standing leader, only finishing P5 today after a huge lockup in the final hairpin, costing him dramatic time and pushing him down, but tried to fight it back in the final closing lap. Liam Stevens, P6, Camille Stachura tried to go for the hard to mediums and look good in the final stint, but it's only good enough for P7. Brad Oldham in 8th, Felipe Salza 9th, and Joris Krozen, who's won in Spain, who was the pole sitter today, looking to take another victory, just losing out in P10. Where only gets 1 point, should I say. Nelson Alves in 11th, Andre Molnar, Leo Lund, Riley McKay, Tycho Hardy, Daniel Kelsden, Simon Lukowski, Ben Marples, Kian Gordon Dorp starts the DNFers with Valentino Labella, but Ben Marples also DNF, should I say. So, interesting finish to the race at hand, and a very interesting Suzuka GP. I shall bring you back to the commentators booth. Everybody is interested in an interview tonight, so I shall pull up the Discord and have a quick little look if I can without completely killing Army's camera. There we go. That was a very interesting, very spicy race indeed out here in Suzuka. We'll take a quick look at the calendar actually while we're here to see what we've got coming next week. So as we finish here in Japan, we set our sights on what is easily my favourite circuit of all the calendar. It is Saudi Arabia and Jeddah. And you may say, oh, Jeddah, a lot of people don't like Jeddah. I love the way it flows. There's around 27 turns. You need to be absolutely on the ball, nailing the racing line in Sector 1, much like Suzuka. Very technical and tight. You must nail that racing line and stay away from those curves. If you even touch one of those curves, you can beach it and go straight on, or you can send that rear end spinning out of control. But it easily is one of my more favourite tracks. How do you feel about Jeddah, Romy? You looking forward to that one?
Absolutely. When I look at the calendar, always looking forward to Jeddah, whether the drivers enjoy it or not. Of course, I'm not the one driving, I'm the one watching. And with 3DRS since to end the lap, the racing is always crazy. You get more of the 3 wide and crazy battling all the way to the checkered flag. Drag races to the line even are possible. So anything's possible at Jeddah. The racing is always outrageous and nothing but. So yeah, cannot wait for Jeddah. Should be really, really good.
After that, we move on to Mexico and then set sights on Spa-Francorchamps, one of the fan favourites. I don't know if it's so much a driver favourite in this game cycle, but we can only hope that everybody has a decent time out there. The reskin has certainly caught a couple drivers off, and there's no longer as much runoff as you may be used to, so you can also run it wide. Monza, the Temple of Speed, another one of my favourites as well. I can only imagine it can be other fan favourites. One of the fastest tracks on the calendar. You're absolutely flat out through those corners, and of course the infamous Turn 1, which we had some controversy in IRL in 2021. We can only hope to push on from there and then set sights back onto Qatar, a beautiful track to drive, but also with a lot of right-handers, so the left side tyre degradation is dramatic, and then finishing off in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So you're looking good for the calendar, and I am certainly excited to see how the drivers handle it. But again, we wait ever so patiently. I don't see anybody in the waiting room for an interview. Don't see anybody looking for the chance to get in the booth and have a few questions. But how do you feel about that, Omi? How would you give us your take on that? Do you enjoy that one?
Absolutely phenomenal. When we came into it, exactly what we thought would happen. Some crazy racing. Of course, the safety car giving us some soft sub mediums all the way, attacking to the end. And it wasn't the softs that came out on top in the end. Instead, it was Jan Halliday. So phenomenal stuff, pushing all the way to the checkered flag and defending it all the way, even at the end of the last braking zone of the circuit. Always love when the battles do come down right to the end of the last lap on the last corner of the race. It's always very exciting and thrilling to see who's going to come out on top. And it was a race where we didn't know what was going to happen. But once again, a lot of drivers battling like absolutely crazy, trying to gain every single position they can. And it did lead to a little bit of contact, but the majority kept it clean, luckily.
Absolutely beautiful stuff, and I think that will do us for tonight. It's been an amazing race as always. F2 never fails to deliver some of the best high quality content, very fast, very talented drivers. Said it before, but I will say it again. Other than that, it's been very nice to be here, and a pleasure doing commentary with you once again, Omi. Thank you for joining me.
Yep, had all sorts of technical issues, but luckily they were sorted. We were able to get going, and even with a little bit of lag, we still had quite a bit of fun, and yet hopefully able to do it again in the future.
Absolutely lovely stuff. Other than that, it's been a very good night, and we shall see you next week for Saudi Arabia, the Jeddah GP.